This next comment was nonsense, but I have to comment on nonsense. So Kenny Smith's a nice guy. He's a basketball player, very good. He's on a show everybody likes with Barkley and Ernie and Shaq. And he was talking about, it's LeBron not top 10 and stuff. I don't even want to get into that, but just play the bite from him.
It's so much easier to score now that it makes it hard to judge guys' ability because it's so easy to score. Like I was a good scorer. I wasn't even a great scorer. I averaged 17 points a game at my highest, I think 18. In that year, I probably would average 26, 25. He's great, but for me, this is in my opinion, he's not in the top 5 of all time.
Okay, I'm not even going to argue that. That's nonsense. Let's go to this, though. It is so much easier to score for these players now. That's interesting. So I went this morning and I looked at the top 20 highest individual scoring games in league history. They should all be now, right? I mean, it's so easy to just drop 50. Only 2 are in the last 15 years. Kobe, he was good, and Devin Booker, who had a good night. 2 of all the highest scoring games ever. 2 are in the last 15 years, but it's so easy to score. By the way, Wilt scored at will in the 60s. Kareem scored at will in the 80s, and Michael Jordan scored at will in the 90s. Outside of James Harden now, if a guy drops 40 regularly, this is like, whoa, he's hot. With Harden, it's like he gets 36, 37. And even he struggles in the postseason. Folks, no reasonable person would deny that athletes today are taller, faster, more rested, private planes, better nutrition, better trainers. It's now much more of a global sport, so you're getting the world's best. That means you're confusing easier to score with they make it look easier to score. That's the difference. LeBron makes it look easier. Dirk Nowitzki, Anthony Davis. These players are so good now, we think, nobody plays defense. Out of your mind. Everybody's playing defense. You can't stop anybody. Steve Kerr's got my all-time favorite line on this.
They're all right. They would all kill us. The game gets worse as time goes on. Players are less talented than they used to be. The guys in the 50s would have destroyed everybody. It's weird how human evolution is sort of like goes in reverse in sports. Players get weaker, smaller, less skilled. I can't explain
it. Folks, it used to be in the NBA that if you were a center or a big and you scored a basket, you would run down on the defensive end and just wait for the big guy to just drop right next to you. Now the big guy can dribble. The big guy can shoot a 3. Giannis and Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid now can shoot 3s. So the big fella, I got to chase the centers around the court. I'm chasing guys around the court. I used to be able to be like, all right, big fella, come and lean on me. That's how easy it was to defend centers. And only one guy had the sky hook. Everybody else was kind of offensively limited, right? There wasn't a lot of skill at center. Everybody can dribble. Everybody can pass. Denver's center is the best passer on the team. We're confusing that it's so easy to score. No, everybody makes it look easy to score because it's a global game. Players are better coached. It used to be you flew commercial. Now, think about this. I'm not joking when I say this. In the 70s, you could have gotten on a United Airlines flight and Wilt was sitting next to you. Players played games, went home, had a few cocktails, got up at 4, drove to the airport, were on a 6 a.m. flight. They'd fly into a city, take a nap, and play. They were exhausted. They just mailed it in all the time. Players now are on private jets. There's fewer back-to-backs. They've got better nutrition. They're more rested. They have better trainers. They are ready to play every night. I regularly watch games in the regular season, and I'm like, this is a playoff game. Guys are after it. It's not easier to score. Everybody just makes it look easy. The game is never, you don't have to like NBA basketball. Analytically now, it's a lot of threes. I used to like the layering of basketball a little more. But if you don't think this is the most skilled league that it's ever been, you're not watching the game. It's like NFL quarterbacks. They're so much better than they were 15 years ago. So much better. Yeah. It's Kenny Smith averaged about 18 points a game. And that's about what Kenny Smith would average today. You know why? Because if Kenny Smith was only as good as Kenny Smith, his coach would be like, stop shooting. I got other guys that can shoot. My center. Guys who's, and by the way, here's my favorite stat. Look at this one. The average NBA team this year scored 111 points. Okay, let's go to the 80s. Oh, wait. The average NBA team in 1985 scored 111 points. Okay, let's go to the 60s. The average NBA team scored 115 points. But it's so much easier to score now. It's just, Wilt Chamberlain was going up against 6'8" centers. I'm not joking. The Celtics had a center named Dave Cowens. He was good. He was 6'8". Ben Simmons is a guard. He's 6'10 and a half. Wilt Chamberlain never had to worry about a center going, bruh, give me the ball. Whoo, 3. Wilt just sat there, blocked his little guy's shot. You got to be kidding me. Have Wilt running. Can you imagine Kareem Abdul-Jabbar now having to run around the court chasing Anthony Davis? It'd be exhausting. We romanticize the past, don't we? We just, everything was better. The New York Knicks, we have romanticized a New York Knicks team that had 8 guys that couldn't shoot a jumper. That team had so little skill. Even their guards weren't great shooters. NBA basketball, better players, more rested, better nutrition, better coaching, better scouting, better players, better passers, better ball handlers, better shooters, better by a mile. And those guys can all play defense and are better and more nimble and quicker and can defend and have more tape and then scout you more. And good Lord, folks. Joining us via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network. All right, the Mahomes contract. I hear you're not happy with the Patrick Mahomes contract. Why, Rob?
You know what? It was more sizzle and steak. When you see that number, you say $503 million. Wow, he hit the jackpot. But, Colin, when you dig deeper into it, you realize it's only like $160-some-odd million guaranteed up front. There's no out for him. There are quarterbacks like Teddy Bridgewater and Ryan Tannehill who make more money than him over the next 3 or 4 years. And here's the bigger thing to take away. He was supposed to be the trendsetter, to set the market. He was so good and the face of the NFL that he could have been the guy to say, I want a fully guaranteed contract. I'm going to be that guy for my the rest of the players in the NFL to look and say, he won an MVP. He won a Super Bowl in his first 2 years as a starter. He had all the leverage, and he gave it up for nothing. He took an also-ran contract. There are guys in Major League Baseball who are laughing to think that he's the face of the NFL and all the money, and guys are making way more than him, double him as far as guaranteed money. Sure, it looks good on paper, but it's not a real $503 million. The difference between baseball and football, Mike Trout's going to get all 426. He'll get every nickel. There's no guarantee that that Mahomes will get all his money. That's the big difference.
Well, but what about a salary cap? You can get other good players. It's about winning, not just filling your bank account. How much money do you need? What about that argument?
I think I hear that argument all the time, and I don't think it's real. Owners don't take a discount. I hear the salary cap. That's not Patrick Mahomes' concern. That's what they pay the people in the front office to figure out. If that's the case in getting other players, then how in the world did Sammy Watkins have to take a pay cut to stay in Kansas City if he freed up money for them to sign good players? And the Tom Brady argument as well, the biggest knock is that they never went and got him any other players, but Tom Brady was taking pay cuts. And they didn't win all the time. The Patriots and Tom Brady went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl, with supposedly Tom Brady making these concessions for his team. It doesn't automatically equate to winning. You should get what should be your fair market value, and let the team figure that other stuff out. I don't bank on anything that Kansas City's going to do, and you can't rely on anything in Kansas City other than some good barbecue when you're down there. Other than that, I'm not buying into it. They went 50 years without winning, and now I just turned over the next 12 years of my life without an out. What happens if Andy Reid retires or the team is sold and some cheapskate owner comes in? You're screwed, Colin.
No, you make some interesting points. All right, I got 3 minutes left. I got to ask you this. Kenny Smith says, "Yeah, I love LeBron and everything, but it's so much easier to score now in the NBA." And to that I say, players are bigger, stronger, faster, more rested, better nutrition, better trainers, better athletes. You got to chase centers around the floor now because they can shoot 7-footers. It's not that it's easier to score. It's that players make it look like it's easier to score because they're so skilled now. What say you?
I'm with Kenny Smith. Are you kidding, Colin? You can't even hand check or touch anybody. We watched the Michael Jordan documentary. Did you see what the Pistons and the Knicks did to Michael Jordan when he went down? Those weren't flagrant fouls. Those were regular fouls. It was no big deal. Now, are you kidding? You can't touch anybody. Everybody has a free path. People are given open looks much more. I think it's way easier to score. It doesn't mean that they're not good, and all the points you make are good. They are bigger, they are faster, they are stronger, but they don't have the same defense that they have to deal with that other great players. I think if Steph Curry played in the 90s, it would be totally different. The way he would be banged around and pushed around, which doesn't happen now. These guys are skilled, they're great, but it is much easier to score.
By the way, Jim Harbaugh says we didn't create COVID. We're not going to end it. We should play sports. As long as the students are going to class, why can't we play football? Your thoughts as an adjunct professor at USC?
Well, I'm going to be teaching this semester online and not in the classroom. And I don't know. I think Jim is doing a disservice to the players. Of course, they want to play. They're football players. But football's just not that important. The difference between being in class 2 chairs or 3 chairs away from your classmate and being on top of another player, tackling and sweat and saliva floating around and all the other stuff where you can get COVID, it just doesn't make any sense. And if the kids aren't in the classroom, right, and the football players are a part of the student body, they shouldn't be playing football. You see what they did at the Ivy League and some other conferences around. Watch, they'll wind up canceling the sports because you can't guarantee the kids' safety. And it should be about safety. I understand. We all love football. We all love sports. I'm dying for it to come back. But I want people to be healthy.
Yeah. By the way, how much you pay for that beautiful sports jacket?
$5,300. Oh, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I'm reading the tag wrong. $53.
That's incredible. Rob is the most frugal human I've ever met. It is. That's a beautiful sports jacket.
$53. Hey, you know how I got the money to save to buy this is because I bring my own tea bags to the airport instead of paying $4 for a cup of tea.
You do that, don't you?
I do. I absolutely do.
Do you make your own coffee?
I don't drink coffee. I'm just a tea drinker. But
is there a minute left? Is there anything you spend money on? What about your car? You have a nice car?
I have a very nice car, but I had a couple of used cars first, and I saved up and got a nice car. But I'm willing to spend money on good stuff. I have a very nice watch that costs a lot of money, but for the most part, I'm cutting corners on all the other stuff.
All right. I'm looking behind you. There's some pictures there. It looks like very expensive art. No, that's just a picture you took in Antarctica.
No,
okay.
You see that picture right there? Can you see the one from Egypt right there?
Yeah.
That's from Egypt. Papyrus paper. I went to Egypt.
How much it cost you?
That was a great trip.
How much it cost you?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, back then in the 90s, it cost me about $5,000 to go.
All right. There's Rob Parker, the most frugal man in America, and we love him. Thank you so much, Rob Parker.